Everyone wants to know how to hit with power. Gotta watch this one.
Welcome to Action Hound Media, the site and channel all about action. Life's boring. Get some more action into your life. This week, we are going to talk about how to hit with power. Everybody wants to know the secret to knocking people out with one punch, right? We want to hit like Mike Tyson when he was in his prime. That was something else. He knocked out so many fighters in the first round. He definitely was a guy that could hit with power. Obviously, size and strength are attributes that will make one hit with more power. King Kong has a stronger punch than a 100-pound nerd. That's a fact. Does taking steroids and lifting weights make you punch harder? Not necessarily. You will develop more punching power, but lifting weights increases muscle mass and makes your muscles tighter. So bulking up may not be the way you're going to hit with more power. Force equals mass times acceleration. So you will have mass, size, but your acceleration might be hampered with tighter, slower muscles, you know? At the extreme, if you hit a bag with super strength but slow speed, it will not produce as much force as someone with medium strength but fast speed. So there needs to be a combination of strength and speed. But what about Bruce Lee's 1-inch punch? How could somebody hit with such force in such a small amount of distance? First of all, Bruce Lee was an individual with unusually fast reflexes, unreal timing, and an extreme ability to generate power with his fast twitch muscles. Bruce Lee has mastered the ability to transfer the ground reaction forces, push through his back foot, and propel that force into his lead hand with rapid muscle tightening. He was able to generate 230 to 470 pounds of force with his 1-inch punch. As a side note, Bruce Lee usually has been seen doing the 1-inch punch on stationary targets, like somebody just standing there. So maybe pulling this punch off in a combat situation would be a little more difficult. That brings us to board breaking or block breaking, right? Do martial arts experts have a special power to break boards and blocks? With proper training, focus, and conditioning, a practitioner can develop these breaking skills. Also note that stacked boards usually have spaces in between them to make it easier to break, and blocks are usually longer and placed with much space in between them to support the blocks to make the breaking of the blocks a little easier. With that said, conditioning your hands to strike a harder surface is a must for breaking. This is usually accomplished by hitting makawara boards or a bag of rice or beans, and or doing knuckle push-ups as part of your conditioning training. There's also hitting with power related to sports such as soccer, football, and baseball. How are athletes training to develop this power to kick a ball farther or hit a ball out of the ballpark? Of course, the components of training to hit with power in sports is increasing strength and doing practice, right? Until your timing and technique is adequate to supply the necessary power to hit further. If you notice, some home run hitters weigh their back foot and step into their swing. Soccer players will plant their lead foot and swing their rear leg forward to generate power. The power is potential energy transformed into kinetic energy, which we will discuss shortly when we talk about the physics of hitting with power. So technique is a big part of the equation. But then we have other forms of generating force. There are internal arts, such as Tai Chi, that focuses on developing control of energy in your body, or your chi. This art is considered a soft martial art with much reliance on breathing and meditation to control the flow of your chi energy through your body. Actually, I watched the clip from Bill Moyer. He did a documentary about Tai Chi where a Chinese master literally force pushed a line of about 8 people backward. It's an unbelievable clip, but if you develop the skill of controlling your chi, you don't even have to know how to punch or kick someone. So there are shortcuts, right? You can always wear sap gloves or gloves with weights at the knuckles, or you can use brass knuckles when you get into an altercation. And if you land the punch, it will be powerful. I personally don't advise the use of illegal weapons for fighting though. So let's talk about hitting with power the natural way. First, we want to know about the physics of hitting with power. Like I said before, force equals mass times acceleration. A punch requires a lot of force to be produced in a short space of time. Since momentum is the mass of an object multiplied by its velocity, if we improve one, we can improve momentum. So the key to hitting with power is increasing the acceleration, since mass is usually constant. One thing you can do with hit with more power is increasing hand speed, and that is the key. To have a truly effective punch, you'll need the snap at the end of your punch. That is what's known as effective mass. When the whole body creates a brief stiffening upon impact, this occurs mainly in the arm, shoulder, and core. So it's kind of like when you punch and you kind of pull it back a little bit, that snapping effect generates more force. Let's talk about the kinetic chain. The kinetic chain describes the pattern that the force transfer follows through the entire body during the explosive action. During a punch, force is generated from the floor actually and transfers from your foot to your fist in a rapid rate via the kinetic chain. To deliver a hard, fast punch, the lower body must produce that force pushing off the floor in an extremely quickly way. The core and the hip muscles must be strong enough to transfer this force through the midsection and through the shoulder and then the arms, which must be mobile enough to efficiently deliver the fist towards the target. This must be all performed with solid technique. So to properly transfer the energy from potential energy from the floor to your target, someone's face, is to push off the back foot, to, let that ball of energy transfer all the way up your leg, through your knees, to your hip, and then with the rotation of your trunk, the turn of your body, the ball of energies can continue onward up through your shoulder and then through your arm and extended into the target. So that's what the kinetic chain basically is. So with proper training, you can develop power in your punches and kicks. You don't have to be born with it. Good luck, train hard, watch the next few demonstrations on how we hit the bag and how we transfer that power and all that. All right, so we're talking about hitting with power. So if you want to throw a power shot, it's always going to come from your rear part of your body, meaning like if I'm a lefty, all my power is in my rear fist and my rear leg. When I throw across this punch, right, a left cross is way more powerful than a jab. Now when I jab, all I really use is my shoulder and elbow extension to hit the jab. So there's not much power to it. As opposed to a cross, when I throw the cross, I'm turning my body, pushing off the ground, hitting the opponent, all right? So you have to think of it as a kinetic change. You're taking the potential energy from the ground and then driving that through your body into your fist and then into your opponent's face, okay? You basically have to imagine a ball of energy that starts at the floor in your feet. That ball of energy, as I turn and push off, I'm generating a stronger ball through my leg, and then I'm twisting my body, and then I'm using my shoulder and elbow to deliver the blow. So it's a kinetic chain all the way from the ground, my foot, my knee, my hip, my body rotation, my shoulder, and my elbow, and then landing the blow, as opposed to a jab, which is only coming from your shoulder and your elbow. So that's really where power comes from. Usually it gets a stationary target, because if you try to hit somebody with this punching, it's never going to land, because it's going to come from so far out that they can easily see it. But also if you step into a punch, right? So if I just stand here and throw the punch, it won't be as powerful as if I step in and then I push off the floor, use that kinetic chain, and then deliver the blow. So that's one little tip you can use when you're punching a stationary target. And that also goes with the side kick, right? So if you're doing a side kick, here's the side kick, right? So that side kick is only coming from my hip and my knee, right? But if I step into it, if I start from out here and I step into it, there's way more power to it. So the stepping motion generates more power when you're striking your opponent. Also, that's what differentiates like the Muay Thai kick from like a regular roundhouse, right? It's just from the hip in this, like that, right? Karate roundhouse. But the Muay Thai kick, right? They really wind up, they turn their foot out and turn their body into it, so it's more powerful, right? So here I am. If you notice, my body turns that way. I'm facing the wall. Where a karate kick is, you don't really face the wall, right? So Muay Thai kick is stronger because they're putting full force and they're turning their entire body into the technique. That's why they have the strongest and most brutal kicks, because they're using their entire body. It's a fully committed kick, and you're generating more power. You don't have to be born with superpower or super strength to throw the proper kicks and punches with power. All you have to do is develop the right technique, enough training and practice. You'll develop more and more power into your technique. So go out there, train hard, and kick harder, punch harder. Action Counts Unite.